Mark 30. Mark 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
This is RFD Today, a daily look at key topics impacting rural Illinois. If you live in Illinois, we examine the issues impacting you, your family, your income, and your community.
Jim Taylor, good to have you along on this Thursday on RFD Today. Before we get to the meat of the program, some news to pass along. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue, U.S. Department of Agriculture Undersecretaries Greg Ibaugh, Ted McKinney, and Bill Northey and other USDA staff will be holding a briefing later today regarding USDA-specific plans to support farmers in response to damage from unjustified retaliation and trade disruption. And that announcement coming today, and we'll have more on that throughout our various RFD Radio Network programming. We got a lot coming up on the show today. You're wondering where DeLoss Yonke is at. He's out in Kansas City. No, he didn't get called up by his beloved Kansas City Royals. He's at the U.S. Meat Export Federation event out there. A lot of talk about African swine fever. So DeLoss coming up, he'll be discussing that. Also, we'll get into the summer driving season today. Harry Cooney from Growmark, he'll join us. And, of course, the Memorial Day weekend coming up. So we'll talk with Harry about gas prices in Illinois and the market heading into the official summer driving season. So he'll join us. And then let's talk ag tech today, right? Always a lot to talk about with technology in whatever industry or sector, but we'll get into it concerning agriculture as the Illinois Soybean Association will be with us to talk about that. But DeLoss Yonke is standing by in Kansas City. A lot coming up there as U.S. Meat Export Federation event taking place there. It's the RFD Radio Network and RFD Today on this Thursday.
Joe Walker is a pioneer field agronomist. Joe, we talked to you earlier in the week before another round of rain, and you were saying customers in your part of the state, Shelby, Moultrie, that zone, very busy as we started this week.
Yes, and we had a line of showers come through there at the beginning of the week on Sunday, and very spotty. So as we moved from township to township across the territory, we saw a different array of activity.
How are you feeling about, kind of the next phase here, and maybe you're already dealing with it on a daily basis, but that's weed management. That seems to be what we're looking at if we're not seeing field activity.
Yes, I've encouraged several growers, even if they are in a conventional tillage situation, to consider running a burn down on some of these fields that have a lot of winter annuals. The other thing that is concerning, I think growers need to get out and look at these fields and scout them specifically for water hemp. Some of the water hemp has germinated and is getting quite large. And if the wet conditions continue, it's going to be hard to tear those out with a tillage path. So in that situation, I would recommend running some sort of burn down program, even though that you're planning on tilling it, to kill the winter annuals. That'll give us a better chance of it drying out, but to also kill the already germinated water hemp.
As you deal with your customers, any talk of switching varieties, maturities, et cetera?
No, so far we're staying the course. In the central part of Illinois, history has taught us that we need to stay the course with our selected hybrids till June 1st. And at that point, we may start backing off some of our later maturing hybrids. At this juncture, though, the later maturing hybrids are the ones that we were putting in the corn planter first, since we were planting so late, or later than usual. So the weather will dictate any changes here in the next week or 10 days. But as of right now, no changes.
Joe, your take-home for growers, for customers in your area?
Well, this has been a challenging spring so far, and I don't think the challenges are going to get reduced as we go farther into the growing season. It's easy to get caught up in the calendar and enforce some of these tillage passes. I just encourage growers to stop and think about it and think about the long-term effects of the things that we may or may not do in the field here as we get closer to Memorial Day.
Joe Walker, Pioneer Field Agronomist here on the RFD Radio Network.
In Kansas City, U.S. Meat Export Federation is having its spring conference. Stan Holstrom is president and CEO of USMEF, and my goodness, just one thing after another in the news. Japan, so that was last Friday. That was, well, it seemed like huge news. What does that mean for beef from the U.S. going to what already, if not a top customer, certainly one of the top customers?
Yeah, it's our top. Japan is our top customer. Over $2 billion in sales last year. But yeah, we're excited about the news of the over 30 months from last Friday. Actually posted in the library, and so it's really effective May 17th. This is an area of the market that the U.S. has been out of since 2003 when BSE hit. So we estimate somewhere between $150 to $200 million a year of incremental revenue for the U.S. beef industry. And it's really a combination of beef variety meats, specifically mountain chain tripe being a specialty item that the Japanese like for their yakiniku. And also, beef tongues, of course, which are a staple in the market. That combined with some of the opportunities on the middle meat side from the over 30 months, we're excited about this development.
So there's another example of it doesn't have to be a muscle cut, so even more value for each carcass. And then this has been going on since 2003. I mean, I assume USMEF has been part of this for more than a decade and a half at this point.
Exactly, yeah. This is while a small part of $2 billion, still, anything, $150 to $200 million we take that in a heartbeat. Yes, the industry has been pushing on this for a long, long time. And we finally have it there, which is not only good news for Japan, but it kind of sets the standard now among a lot of Asian countries to take a look at the over 30 months. So, yeah, needless to say, we're excited about the prospect of yet another segment of that Japanese market we now have access to, probably directly to compete with Australia.
Also Friday was the news of the tariffs for steel and aluminum being lifted for Canada and Mexico. Hopefully that means we're at least a step closer to a USMCA agreement, because duty-free pork, I think, in particular, but certainly pork and beef to two top customers would be pretty important.
Yes, the Mexico and Canada, the North American market is extremely important for our membership, our pork and beef industries. We were very excited to hear about the 232 resolution on steel and aluminum, which we thought it would immediately lead to the resolution of the pork tariffs, which it did on Monday. Effective Monday, pork was crossing at zero duty, and it also took off the processed beef to Canada, the small duties that we had into Canada. So yes, we're excited about that, but you hit it on the head. This is just the first step in a process, with the ultimate goal being to reach some sort of an agreement on acceptance of the U.S. Mexico-Canada free trade agreement. So yeah, we're excited about that because, beef has been zero duty all along, but there was a definite threat of retaliation from the Mexican side that the only way to put that to bed is to get an agreement long term. So we're hopeful that can come sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about China, because there's so much to talk about with China. We see numbers. You don't see full inventory numbers, but you keep seeing 20% herd loss month after month. What does that even mean? What is possible? And what about ractopamine, feed additives? What, in terms of getting product from the U.S. to China, it seems like there's all kinds of potential, and there are probably a bunch of hurdles to cross to get to that point.
Well, I honestly I summarize the situation with China as a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of uncertainty. One thing is certain, that ASF is impacting their herds. You can debate the numbers, but the numbers are big. And I think the latest data show, the latest reports from China government show somewhere in the 20% range impact, which is up from where they were. So yes, there will be an impact, but what does that mean to the U.S. is not so clear, because as you know very well, today we sit here with 62% duties on pork, and we're at 37% duties on beef. Without a doubt, that's impacting our ability to expand the business into China. So you throw all this together, I don't think anyone really knows how it'll turn out. But one thing is for sure, this shortage of meat, which has not hit China yet, it'll take time to work through their inventories, but when they do, there is, because of the shortage of hogs today, and we all know the cycle, 6 months to 9 months from now, you can probably expect a shortage of meat. This has the potential to impact trade flows globally, and if it doesn't mean a huge amount of incremental business directly for the U.S., then our competitors may see it, but then we may backfill in other places. Examples could be Philippines and Vietnam, which have a high percentage of EU share of pork. That could be areas where we might see some disproportionate growth. But really, you got to look at it, the world as a whole, when you're talking about China, because of all the questions that are not answered.
Ben Hallstrom, U.S. Meat Export Federation, according to a press release from earlier in the month, in China, looking at beef exports, U.S. exports to China were 4% more than a year ago, but export value fell 17% to $13.2 million. The press release says there's tremendous potential in the Chinese market for U.S. beef, but because of restrictive import requirements as well as retaliatory duties that push the tariff rate to 37%, U.S. prices are significantly higher than the competition. Most suppliers have a 12% tariff in China. New Zealand, though, is duty-free, and Australia pays a 6% rate. Stay tuned, more to come from Kansas City and USMEF's Spring Conference on RFD today.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
What's the excitement about buying a brand new car when you pay full price for it? County Farm Bureau members have a reason to be excited. A Farm Bureau membership gives you 2 car purchase discounts. When members buy a new Ford vehicle, they receive $500 off their purchase. And with a purchase of a qualifying Lincoln vehicle, they receive $750 off. Everyone loves a good deal, and the money saved is worth the price of our annual membership. This is just one of our 300,000 plus discounts that are always changing to fit our members' needs. Not a Farm Bureau member? Visit Illinois Farm Bureau online and join today.
Are you preparing for planting season? We don't mean to be a pest, but here's a few things you need to know before you grow. The Illinois Department of Agriculture now requires special local needs labels, including new restrictions for the use of herbicide dicamba on top of soybeans in Illinois for the 2019 growing season. Did you know these additional restrictions go beyond federally approved labels? Remember, the label is the law. To find out more about these Illinois-specific labels, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Meet Ingrid, fiery spirit, carrying grandma, proud trucker.
I've logged more than 4 million miles in my truck. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. I was driving outside of Ohio when a gentleman stopped suddenly in front of me. But it takes my 80,000-pound truck 200 yards to stop. I'd given myself extra room, but it's not a chance worth taking.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Welcome back to RFD today on a Thursday. I'm DeLoss Yankee in Kansas City at the spring conference of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. Learn more at usmef.org. Visiting with their president and CEO, Dan Holstrom. We had just been talking about China and the impacts China has in the U.S. meat market. Thinking about China, there are two thoughts. One is the possibility of increased product to be moved to them, and then the other one to be concerned about is anything coming from them. You're going to have a panel discussion Friday about African swine fever, and Craig Eibach with USDA just in testimony said that if it were to hit, we're ready, which is a bold statement, but I'm sure it's one of those things that 100% attention toward, and just also talk about the unknowns. It's certainly out there.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think the priority for the industry, and we are in a full agreement with the priority right now, is to protect North America from ASF, and we're all in on that. We traditionally bring a lot of buyer teams from all over the world to the U.S., and we have discontinued that with any of these regions, mainly China, but other ones like Vietnam as well. We are discontinuing that process, at least for the time being, until some of these questions are answered. But yes, I couldn't agree more that first and foremost, let's protect, and I don't just say U.S., protect North America, because really the North American bloc is one trading, agricultural community, so to speak.
Well, yeah, especially if USMCA continues to improve and, the trucks just start running, then, the gates open at that point.
Exactly right, yeah. So, we need to really think about North America as a whole. As a region, it's the largest trading region in the world for us. Japan may be the largest market, but you add Canada and Mexico together, and it's on beef and pork. It's roughly approaching 40% of our business, so there's no more important region to take care of than our own close area here in North America.
What are a couple of places, South Korea is one of those that comes to mind, but what are a couple of places, even South America has been a growth point, but what are some real success stories of late?
Well, you hit on it. Korea is the success story from 2018, up significantly on both beef and pork, just a meat boom going on, a consumption boom, so to speak. And we have gotten, I think it's safe to say, with the Chorus agreement, more than our share, and we're loving every minute of that. A lot of demand centered around convenience, the convenience factor, wanting higher quality, HMR type products. A lot of them are sourced from U.S. raw materials. So this is a good thing, but you also hit on the other. There's actually two other regions that are really seeing significant growth on really both beef and pork, and that's Central and South America. Some countries that stand out specifically, Colombia is an absolute home run on pork. Although Chile and Peru had very good years as well. And on the beef side, both Chile and Peru, and Colombia's back a ways, but we're seeing some percentage growth that's significant there too. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in that regard.
Roughly, what impact does all of this make on each carcass? Thinking about cattle and hogs, just how important is it to have this kind of business all around the world?
Well, if you look at in 2018 for the year, 2019 for the quarter year to date, we're at $336 a head on a beef carcass, and that's without the rendered products and the hides. So it's really probably more like $360 a head. And on the pork side, year to date for the first quarter, you're looking at roughly $46 a head. So without a doubt. But it's really not that simple, because every country is important in a different way because the product mix varies by country. So really the key is to maximize value. Japan is very important on the pork side for the loin complex. Korea is very important for the shoulder complex. Mexico is important for the ham. So if you look at it that way, the combination of these countries adding value is really the key. And the same thing on the beef side. Short plates and tongues and chuck rolls, very important on the Japan side. Rounds and chucks down in Mexico. So there's some method to the madness in terms of where these products go. There's a reason they go to these different places because the value is being maximized.
Now, thinking about this then, and going back to the ASF discussions, and also going back to 15 years of work just to get Japan to open its doors a little bit. So, I mean, there's just so much at stake here with this animal health issue, because I don't even want to think about what markets could do if something were to happen domestically.
Yes, and this is why the focus of the industry, the beef and pork industry, not only MEF, but you've got NAMI, you've got Pork Board, you've got NCBA. Everyone is focused on doing the right thing, not only on ASF, but animal health in general, and protecting what we have here. Because let's be honest, the largest destination for products is still the domestic market. The fastest growing segment is the export market, but the way it works is when the two work together. And, one of our strengths marketing our products internationally is the safety factor. We have the safest product in the world. And we also, we think, have the tastiest product in the world. So that's what we want to protect. And you're right, there is a lot of opportunity out there, but all these unknowns are making it a little bit uncomfortable at the moment.
Well, good to see you. Thanks so much for staying a little bit longer. Appreciate it, and best of luck this week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Dan Holstrom, President and CEO of the U.S. Meat Export Federation, their annual spring conference in Kansas City that has brought people from all around the world to talk about the U.S. meat business. By the way, U.S. lamb exports posted a solid first quarter, 68% increase in volume, and a 29% increase in value. Stay tuned. More to come on a Thursday RFD Today.
More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Hi, this is Sabrina Hardy, RFD Business Manager. I want to thank you for listening to the RFD Radio Network, the #1 ag radio network in Illinois. Did you know RFD Radio Network's programming is being broadcast by Rita Frazier and Delosh Yankee with a combined 50 years of broadcasting experience? Join us daily. If you have any questions, email me at chardy@ilfb.org.
The Illinois economy runs on our homegrown agricultural products. Our dairy, beef, pork, corn, and soybeans grow the agricultural industry by nearly $20 billion each year. But we don't just grow Illinois, we grow North America. Canada and Mexico account for over $45 billion in U.S. agricultural exports, and they support more than 1 million American jobs. Exports to Canada and Mexico matter to everyone in the agriculture and food industries.
A message from Illinois farmers and their checkoff programs.
Does the warmer weather have you itching for a weekend getaway? Take your Illinois Farm Bureau membership savings with you.
Farm Bureau members can save up to 20% at choice hotels, including favorites like Comfort Suites, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn and Suites, with even more to choose from.
Call 800-258-2847 or visit the Choice Hotels website to search all the hotels at once and to make advance reservations.
Contact your local county Farm Bureau for your discount code number.
From midnight snacks to holiday gatherings, food is a part of our culture that brings us together every day. To make sure we all have food on our tables, Illinois farmers are going beyond planting crops and raising animals. We're making sure the wildlife that helps our food grow has homes too. To learn more about conservation efforts, visit ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Farm, family, food. Those three words best describe Illinois Farm Bureau. Farm. For 100 years, Farm Bureau in Illinois has represented and served the men and women who make Illinois one of the top food-producing states. Family. At the heart of rural Illinois are traditional farm families who work together through Illinois Farm Bureau. And food. Farm Bureau families are proud to grow the healthy food they provide their families and yours. Farm, family, food. The heart of Farm Bureau in Illinois.
It is RFD today on a Thursday, and we have Growmark representatives with us, Dan Paneer and Harry Cooney and Mommy, Daddy, and Billy and Bobby. I beat you to the punch.
Straight, Jim.
I beat you to the punch, Harry Cooney.
Get that straight.
I said spot the dog, too. All right.
Okay, well, add spot the dog in.
All right, so the unofficial start of the summer driving season, right, begins this weekend. So I see the national average, 284 a gallon. The Illinois average, 298 a gallon. And let's see, that 298 is, well, a couple cents below a week ago. And then a month ago, pretty steady. And then a year ago, just about, let's see, a dime lower than a year ago. So what do you make of the price at the pump heading into the Memorial Day holiday weekend?
Well, the pump is a good price. I mean, anytime you can have it lower than a year ago, the driving public, again, Billy and Bobby are getting ready to get out of school. Some of them locally here, about another 3 days or so. I have a coworker that said that his son was asking him, Dad, we really don't do a lot in these last several days. You know, do I really have to go to school this week? And, yeah, you do. And so...
Well, can I segue and say something here?
Go ahead.
You bring up a good point. Why can't the school calendar be uniform everywhere in the United States of America, where the first day of school is what? The Tuesday after Labor Day. The last day of school, Harry Cooney, is the Friday before Memorial Day, which is field day at the local school, and then we get out.
Well, some of them said that their snow days were a little different this year.
Yeah, well, I see that.
I mean, that throws it in there, so we're not trying to complicate it on you.
I guess all things being equal, then.
All things being equal, okay.
It should be the uniform calendar.
Okay, well, that's work on that and see what you can do. But you're right, though. The driving season traditionally gets underway at the Memorial Day holiday, and the kids will be getting out of school. I have some coworkers that are going to Disney in early June and such. So it's time for Mommy and Daddy and Billy and Bobby and Spot the dog to get in the minivan and head out to Disney or Grand Canyon, wherever you're going. And yeah, you're about 5 to 10 cents less this year than you were a year ago, as Jim mentioned, for the average price of gasoline. Now, one thing we're seeing with gas inventories is gas inventories are actually a little below the 5-year average. So we're not in any tight supply or anything like that. And we do have some refineries that have been down for some retooling in the past month or so that are coming back online now. So even though we have stocks a little less than normal, it's sure not any big problem or anything like that. So yeah, gas prices, anytime you can get them lower than a year ago, that's a pretty good deal. When you look at them in the past 5 years, it looks like they've been between about $2.25 and last year's peak there at about $2.90. So we've been in the twos for the past 4 or 5 years here. And I think people have kind of got used to that. If you start getting above $3, they'll start sitting up going, oh, what happened to gas prices? But here in the twos, I think most people, we always want it lower, of course, but as a consumer.
And then as for the trend, I guess leading up to the next big holiday would be July the 4th. So do you see or do you envision basically the average staying basically a dime below a year ago? Is that going to be the trend, you think? Or
there's always going to be fluctuations in it. So to pick a dime or 20 cents, it has to stay within or so. I wish I was that smart. I do know what the seasonal studies would suggest. The seasonal studies would suggest a fairly choppy trade in gasoline for the next month out into what you're saying, the 4th of July holiday. Then there's a tendency for a little bit of a firmness in gasoline prices in July and into early August before the peak for the season gets in place. So if that would hold true this year, and that seasonal probably has worked 70 or 80% of the time in history. So if that would hold true again this year, you would keep stagnant prices from where they're at now out until about late June. Then sometime in July, they would try to firm up some. But by far, I think the majority of the annual seasonal rally in gasoline prices is most likely behind us. I mean, from the winter lows to the summer highs, I think the majority of that's already in the market. But then there could be a little bit more firmness there in mid to late summer.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the AAA website and talking about the highest recorded average price on record for regular unleaded. May 5th of 2011, $4.31 a gallon.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that long ago. But
no.
It's that long ago.
And what's interesting, it stayed in a fairly high range 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. It stayed there for what, about 4 years, well above $3 a gallon. And I hate to say it, but we kind of started to get used to that. Then when it dropped here a couple years ago there in 14 or 15, when it dropped from the 3s down in the 2s and almost down into the 1s there in 2016, it was like, wow, this is really... So that's why I say now we're still in the 2s. I think the driving public can deal with that, even though as a consumer, you'd always want to have it lower. But these prices are pretty reasonable compared to the history that we're talking about.
All right, talking with Harry Cooney and Dan Paneer standing by. I want to get a few words about the diesel market. We'll do that when we come back, and we'll get into propane inventories as well. You're listening to RFD Today on a Thursday.
Farm Week and Partners Magazine editor Chris Anderson connects rural routes for you. Chris shares her 4 decades of riding expertise by making sure each edition delivers the best information. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I was raised on a farm in Champaign County growing corn, soybeans, popcorn, pumpkins, and poultry. My top priority is to inform, educate, and even entertain Farm Bureau members.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Attention, Illinois farmers. You won't want to miss this field day at SIU Carbondale University Farms. It's your chance to hear from industry experts about ongoing research and how it will benefit your farm. Join us on June 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with free lunch included. This is a joint effort of the SIU College of Agricultural Sciences, Illinois Nutrient Research and Education Council, and Illinois Farm Bureau. You must pre-register at IllinoisNREC.org and click on upcoming events.
All right, let's check the latest numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network. Corn a bit higher at this hour, beans a bit lower, and wheat trading higher at this hour. July corn $3.98, up 3.5. September corn up 3.25, $4.07 even, and December corn $4.16, up 3.25. July beans $8.25.5, down 3 pennies. August beans down 3.25. $8.32.25, and September beans $8.39.25, down 3. July wheat gaining 7 at this hour, $4.79 3/4. September wheat up 7, $4.87 3/4, and December wheat $5 3/4. That's up 6.5. July bean meal $2.97.80, down half $1. Soybean oil down 31 cents, $27. That's the latest numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network. All right, back on RFD today on this Thursday. We have Harry Cooney and Dan Pannier with us with Growmark. We were talking about the gas market here, Harry. The diesel market, when I look at the average, we were talking about gasoline prices, $2.98, and basically diesel prices are parallel, $2.96 a gallon, and then the month-ago average, $2.94, which is parallel to the month-ago gas market, and then almost parallel to the year-ago average with regular gas and diesel. What do you make of that, I guess?
Well, it's been a big move. I mean, it's a big move in the market, and what I mean is that if you looked at it 3 months or four ago when I was on the show here, gasoline was deeply discounted compared to diesel fuel. And I think we were talking about, if I remember right, I don't have it right in front of me, but I think we were talking about like 50 cents differentials between gas and diesel. And so what's happened is the seasonal increase in gasoline prices from those winter lows out into summer has brought the gasoline market up. The diesel fuel market has come up a little bit, but not nearly as much as gasoline. And so that's why you're back near close to even numbers now. But that's been a big move. So the spread traders in the market have been doing a lot of buying of gasoline and selling of diesel fuel, and they've made well on that spread. And there's a lot of seasonality in that. And now you'll probably start to see it maybe start to go the other way a little bit, because at this time of the year, they tend to start buying diesel fuel, which is the heating oil futures market. And a lot of heating oil is still used on the East Coast for home heat needs, and selling of gasoline. So just as soon as the driving season gets underway, a few traders start taking profits on their longs from those positions.
All right. Again, those remarks from Harry Cooney. It always brings up Mommy, Daddy, Bobby, Billy, and Spot. All right, Dan Pannier, before we get into propane inventories, let's talk about, I guess, can we get a few words about propane grilling here this weekend? Because it's a big time for that. What are you going to slap on the grill this weekend? Anything in particular? Butterfly pork chop?
No.
Chicken breast?
I'll tell you, if I had my choice.
Brats? What are you going for?
We put some lamb on the grill if I had my choice this weekend.
Oh,
we put some lamb on the grill and enjoy that if I had my choice this weekend. But probably will be best hamburgers at best. Probably is what I want.
I want Nick McClintock and I. We want jalapeno brats, right? No. Nick says no. I want a little sweat on the brow when I eat those things too. All right, propane inventories. What are they looking like?
So, there's a couple things with propane inventories. You look at this year compared to the 5-year average and such things like that. We're doing pretty good. Overall in the U.S., compared to Conway, all them, we're doing just exceptionally well, quite honestly. Harry and I have been watching it pretty closely. I'd tell you, if we just have average builds between now and the end of the build season, which is usually about the second week of October, give or take, we'll probably end up with 3-digit numbers out there, over 100 million again, potentially.
That's what the seasonal will suggest, yeah.
Just if we hit the averages, nothing extremely high or extremely low, just the averages as we go out through there. We got a potential breaking 100 million. Just this week alone, inventories that came out yesterday, Midwest, 11% over last year, 11% as well over the 5-year average. U.S. overall, actually very, very high at 60% over last year and 45% over the 5-year average. So a lot of them numbers are in the Gulf Coast, of course, the export market down there. The Midwest is what supplies here, Central Illinois, Iowa, things like that, of course, but still looking very well on inventories as well.
So that, just elaborate a little bit for the end user, that means what?
Well, as you get to look at things, so you start to, Harry talked a little bit about the seasonals. You start to look at seasonal charts. When's a good time to buy? Of course, the summer fills upon us, for the propane and everything. Typically this time of year, over the next 30 to 60 days, somewhere in that time frame, you're usually going to see a dip in the propane market, and that plays right into the whole summer fill thing. These inventories, the seasonals, all that kind of plays together. So your typical biggest inventory builds are in the next 4 to 6 weeks. As you get into June and early July, that's your biggest builds in all over for the propane season. And that would also tell you that's when the biggest dips are in propane, is in that same time period.
Dan, you're not even hitting one of the top things. So look here, Illinois, 24% planted in this past week's report. The average is 89.
That's for corn, right?
That's for corn. Yeah. Are we going to need any grain? Are we going to need grain drying or not? Well, I mean, we're going to get it planted most likely, but what are we going to do? What are we hearing on grain drying? Are we going to need some more?
Well, if you're going to dry it in December, you're probably going to need heat to dry it with. So, I don't know. So you go out and look at that. Yeah, we're well behind on planting. We were talking about that in here, and everybody, no matter where they live, there's not a lot of planted ground. There is some out there, but a lot of it is missing. So, if we get this corn in the ground, which you will sooner or later, it's gonna happen. I still think it really boils down. Can you tell me what the weather's going to be in early October? Is it going to be hot and dry? Yeah. I think you got to have some of the answers to that question before you need to.
Well, and most likely they'll be looking for some 90-day corn. They'll probably be looking for some switching out of some of their
the maturity,
108-day corn or whatever it is down to 90. But you know what's going to happen then. Things are just going to dry. There's only so much 90-day corn available, though, too. So that's what we'll be watching real close here, is to see how much. We're already hearing from some of our FS member cooperatives that people are starting to come in and kicking the tire, I should say, on some extra gallons of propane to contract with the anticipation that they're going to need it for grain drying. And so that's what's going to be interesting over the next several months here, is to watch and see in June how much of this do we get planted. I think by the time you get out to the 4th of July, you get beyond the 4th of July, I think they might start changing over, maybe even after the middle of June. But we still have a window here where they can get it planted. But see how much we can get planted, and then watch that summer weather to see how conducive it is for rapid growth or not. And but there's the potential this year for some large grain drying demand.
Yeah, and you look at, let's see, June, July, August, September, October. We're looking, trying to figure this out 5 months ahead.
One thing that I have probably learned over time is, if you're going to have grain drying and it's going to be in November, December, typically it'd be September, October, so you're looking at pushing that down the road. Just because you do have high inventories, right now, there can always be logistical constraints during that time. If you're trying to do both grain drying and home heat, you can only push so much product through the pipeline. There's only so many trucks, so that's always something. All the more reason to do a summer fill and keep your tanks full.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Summer fill here in June is a great time, because that's when we normally see the lowest prices of the season, is in the month of June into July. And so it's a great opportunity to talk to your local FS member cooperatives and to get in line for that summer fill.
Gentlemen, have a good Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, Jim.
Always good to see Harry Cooney and Dan Padilla with Growmark on the RFD Radio Network. Let's check daily livestock news on the RFD Radio Network on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor. USDA Undersecretary Greg Ibaugh says scientists have pegged an effective vaccine for the African swine fever virus is at least 8 years away. FencePost.com says he made the announcement during a hearing in front of the House Agriculture, Livestock, and Foreign Agriculture Subcommittee hearing on animal pest disease prevention and response capabilities. The USDA releasing its monthly cold storage report, which contained little in the way of surprises for traders. Frozen beef supplies were down roughly 50 million pounds from last year, totaling 430.3 million pounds. Frozen pork was also down from last year, but up from the previous month, totaling 621.9 million pounds. That's a look at daily livestock news on the RFD Radio Network on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor.
How do people benefit from raising livestock here in Illinois? Rich Giebert, Illinois farmer, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau.
Well, growing up on a livestock farm was always interesting, and I enjoy it more today than I did back then. But it did give me the opportunity to have a good work ethic, learn to get up in the morning. And you know, that was difficult during my senior days at high school and college days. I had a tendency not to go to bed at a respectable hour. But no, it was always enjoyable on the farm and getting up before daybreak and milking the cows and getting the chores done and then go about the rest of the day's business.
Illinois Farm Bureau, along with beef, corn, milk, pork, and soybean associations, make up the Livestock Development Group, supporting the Illinois livestock sector. For more information, check out illinoislivestock.org.
Welcome back to RFD Today. I'm DeLoss Yankee. We go up to Chicago now. Jema Appleby is Director of Industry Relations at Illinois Soybean Association. Jema, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good to talk to you today.
You too. If I may ask before we get into what we're supposed to be talking about, but hopefully there have just been more and more opportunities and possibilities as you continue to work in that Chicago office for Illinois Soy.
Yeah, it's been such a wonderful experience up here. We've been able to take advantage of this office and just the presence here and proximity to so many people. We've been able to have quite a few meetings with folks. I'm meeting with, for instance, the French consulate this afternoon is able to pop over to have a conversation. So it's been really beneficial. I can't say enough good things about it.
Wow, that sounds fancy. Goodness, go from talking to me. That's quite a step up. All right. Well, the reason we're going to talk today is going on in July. Tell us about a brand new opportunity that Illinois Soybean Association is doing.
Absolutely. So we are bringing a new event to growers this summer called Tech Connect. We really wanted to provide an opportunity for growers interested in implementing new technology on their farm to really better understand the plethora of options out there. Farmers these days are inundated with all kinds of new technology and information and opportunities on their farm. So wanted to help them be able to really evaluate that. What does this all mean? How does it really add value to my farm? What are the right questions to ask to determine ROI? We're bringing in experts to help growers understand that and really kind of sift through the noise to make a better decision.
All right. Just a little bit about when and where and all those details.
Absolutely. So Tech Connect will be on Tuesday, July 16th at the iHotel and Conference Center in Champaign, Illinois. Registration opens at 7:30 in the morning. We'll have breakfast and some continental breakfast and kick things off about 8:30. So Tech Connect also includes lunch and some time to network with representatives, and then we'll wrap up mid-afternoon.
Okay. So any kind of early adopter, or it doesn't matter, like who should attend an event like this?
Yeah, I mean, growers that are looking for new technologies and really ready to pull the trigger and really understand what that evaluation process looks like. Anybody who's interested in more information on really asking the right questions, implementing specific solutions, those are the people that we're targeting here for this event.
Now, if I'm reading this right, though, this isn't necessarily just a walk-ins welcome kind of a thing. This is a limited thing.
It is. We're because of the venue and because of the people that we're bringing in, seating is very limited. So we've got room for about 75 people, very interested and engaged producers is who we're targeting. So make sure if growers are interested, make sure that they get registered early to make sure to secure a seat.
Okay. Now, who would you be able to expect or to see at Tech Connect?
We have a lot of great experts that we're bringing in. So we've got a strong lineup of speakers and breakout sessions to really do a deep dive into the available technologies that'll guide them through that decision-making process. So we've got 3 different breakout sessions with 6 different technology companies focused on inputs and planning, marketing and risk management, integrated tech platforms. We've also got ag tech entrepreneurs that are coming in to share insights on evaluating a sales pitch and what does that first year of implementation on a farm, what makes that successful. And then we've also got a panel of really tech-savvy growers who've been through this process, who can help kind of share their decision-making thought process on when they're looking at new things, what are the right questions to ask to be able to evaluate new technologies for my farm.
Fantastic. All right. That sounds like a really good, especially for a first-time deal. You know,
yeah,
it sounds
we're
like
excited.
A really good. I remember at Soybean Summit back in January, you know, one of the featured speakers was about technology. You know, this is something clearly that leadership and the folks in the industry are talking a lot about.
It is. You know, ag technology is one of those things where it can really help a farm be more profitable. You know, in a world where margins are a lot smaller and, you know, every penny counts and you're looking for that 1% advantage, there's a lot of ways that technology can really help that come to fruition. And those that are, and like I said, when you've just got so many options out there, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming to try and really make sense of what's out there, how it all fits together, how it works on your farm. So we're trying to help growers understand what that really looks like and understand that this is not something that's going away. Technology is going to continue to evolve, continue to be a part of this. So here's a step to help make it a little bit easier to understand.
Do you feel in your office as well, whether that's in Chicago or wherever it is that you are as industry relations, talking about that, where, you know, you're breaking some stereotypes or as you're talking about the things that farmers are capable of, just, you know, giving people ideas just how tech savvy and how high tech they can be?
Absolutely. I think we've had some interesting conversations with people to try and kind of dispel those maybe lack of understanding with some farmers, if that makes sense. We've had a really great response to people that see the leadership position that ISA is taking, not only in ag innovation and technology, but just in general. And they want to be a part of this. They want to come and participate and partner with us on different opportunities because they see the farmers in Illinois as some of the leading people in producing our food and producing, you know, contributing to the economy in the state of Illinois.
Very good. All right. Now, to register, you know, where do we learn more? How do we get started?
Absolutely. For those interested, they can go to www.illsoyadvisor.com/TechConnect, and you can register online, or you can contact the ISA Meeting and Event Planning Team at 888-826-4011, or emailing events@illsoy.org to ask any questions. Again, space is very limited, and we're really excited about this opportunity, so I would encourage anyone who is interested to secure their seat as soon as possible.
All right. Tech Connect. Sounds great. Jema, thanks so much. We appreciate it.